So talking about The Simpsons.
Talking about alcohol.
Um,
Talking about Simpsons, yeah.
yeah, no, trying to tie this in with The Simpsons. You know, Monterey County, we have a lot of like special, not special. We have a lot of unique people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we see little bit of everything here: arts, food.
Well, I think, you know, what it is California is like, you know, the whole "Go West, my son" thing. I think, like, obviously there's an amount of colonialism in California and stuff like that, and being part of Mexico before that, Spanish Empire, yada yada yada. California's always been a place where people come. It's one of the last, like, I feel like it's one of the last. I mean, it's like the last holdout of like something approaching a frontier. Because you look at like how the places developed around here. You look at places like Gonzales, or you look at places like Salinas or Aromas, or you look at all of these little towns. You look at Monterey, you look at Carmel, you look at how they've been developed. Most of the actual development happened in like the 1920s, basically, and since then. Obviously, these towns have existed before then, but it's like more or less untouched.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, to a very large degree, and not in the same way that you would have in other parts of the world. I mean, like in you know, like East Coast, it's completely packed, and you know, and like, you know, anywhere you go, generally speaking, the geography would allow for more people to settle there earlier on, and so therefore it's more developed.
Yeah.
But California's always been so dry that I guess it's been like somewhat limited and distant and whatever. So it's just fascinating to be here. It draws everyone in. You know,
Yeah.
if you know, everyone's from somewhere else, it seems like, or very few people. You meet less people who are like from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
And
true. That's
so-
true. That it has, especially here in Monterey County, it has a rich history, but that a lot of people don't know about.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy. It's
Like-
really, really, really cool.
Like you have to literally look into it by yourself to find out some of the stuff around here that happened.
So much
you know?
so much of it gets paved over. I mean,
Yeah.
over in PG, they just destroyed the old train station to make a hotel, which is fine. I mean, you know, economic development and everything, but like literally that piece of history is gone.
Yeah.
And any evidence that there was ever a train line that went into PG, I mean, you know, it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, the historical value is insignificant. I mean, like, is insignificant when it's destroyed, but like here we're in the Kwok Moi house, for example, at Wave Street Studios, and like the Kwok Moi house has this amazing history right on Cannery Row, and nobody knows about it, or very few people like pay attention to it because there's not a lot of places for them to know about it. You know, there's the sign out on the path or whatever, you know, and there's a couple of books and stuff like that. But I mean, like, who is Kwok Moi? Why did she live here? How did she live here? How did she get the like deed to the land? What's going on? Like, what's her story?
Right.
And I think most tourists don't even think about that when they come to Wave Street. I mean, Kwok Moi doesn't even register. You know, it's just the aquarium.
Yeah. I have no idea who she is. Who is she?
She's the lady who owned the house upstairs. She's part of the old Chinese community that existed between here and Lover's Point. And she came over here. She was apparently one of the first, like, first generation, like, you know, her parents were Chinese and came over from China, and she was one of the first generation American-born Chinese.
Oh, that's cool.
And she spoke multiple languages. She was like just a linchpin in the community in Monterey and PG. Yeah, this is her house.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know,
Like even like the Japanese community, like after World War II or during World War II, like how they just made them sell all the businesses, their house. And,
well, I mean, yeah, the kind of, I mean, we're touching on some
Yeah,
interesting
yes.
topics here for sure. But I mean, no, I think,
before drinking.
yeah, before drinking. Imagine what it's gonna be like afterwards. Jeez. No, but no, yeah, I mean, like I think with World War II and like what happened with the kind of, you know, the concentration camps of the Japanese. I mean, it's like fear, xenophobia, a healthy dose of racism.
No.
And what's crazy is it's a good example of how, like, you know, fear and war and kind of can be used to justify dehumanization of the other.
Yeah.
I mean, you can 100% look at what happened. Okay, so the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. You know, suddenly everyone who's Japanese or Japanese looking critically is a threat. I mean, and the same thing happened after 9/11, where all of a sudden anyone that looked Arab,
Yeah.
you know, if you were a Sikh and you wore a turban, well, you know, you were the Taliban.
Yeah.
It's like, that's crazy.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, like I saw, like, you know, if you were just brown skinned, I mean, people would like be more likely to like racially profile you. And I mean, not to say that, like, you know, it's just, it seems to me, it frustrates me that this kind of comes up again and again and again and again. It's always some like wave of bullshit and fear. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it's just like, for what? It destroys communities, it fucks people's lives over, so that somebody else somewhere can have like a vague sense of safety.
Yeah.
That's
No,
fucked up.
it is. It is. And here in Monterey, like you can see, like each community helped build Monterey and what it is right now.
Yep.
You know, from the Spaniards to the Mexicans, Japanese, Chinese, Italians, Portuguese, like all those communities.
Like the Native Ohlone people.
Yes. Oh, I can't forget about them. So, yeah. And you know, that's one of my goals as I do this and my brand expand and I'm in the power where I want to build something where we can pay homage to those communities. Because you know, as a Mexican American, I was born here. You know, I love it.
Well, I mean, you know, like
know?
I think this is the only part of Mexico where the Americans came to Mexico. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. As a kid, I always felt home. Like this place, I go to Pebble Beach, Carmel, and I just feel home. Like I'm bushy. I love doing stuff like that, anyways. But if, you know, it's like home, and I could never find out why I felt so home. Like this is my land. Knowing I was, you know, first generation Mexican American, I'm like, my home is back there in Mexico, right? But when I got older and I look into the history, I was like, oh man, we were here since the 1500s.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, man, this is awesome. And I definitely want to build somewhere where like a museum showing that.
The history, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Natural History Museum does a little bit of that, but it's more like, I mean, geography and natural history as opposed to anthropology. But I agree. I think it's not particularly well documented, although it is well researched. It's just it's not collected in a very good space. You know, there's the library over in Monterey is a really good resource for a lot of this stuff. But again, it's in archives.
Yeah.
And, you know, and again, it's like, somebody would have to go through and like do a historian's job to really bring together the story. I think the other thing about it as well is like Monterey in particular is just a story of like, first this generation came, and then this generation came, and then this generation came, and then this generation came. And each time somebody comes through, they just like wipe the slate clean practically and remake it whatever they want. So for example, like right now we're sitting in Cannery Row. Cannery Row in John Steinbeck's day would have been like the worst part of town, stinking as shit.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to be here.
Smelled.
Yeah.
And
And nowadays, you know, we're really only getting to the point where it's like, okay, you know, the seals stink, you know. but other than that, I mean, you know, this is as gentrified as it gets. This is I mean, like it's sterile, honestly, because there's not really, I mean, there's no, outside of Wave Street and, you know, a couple of houses that you can rent up and down on Wave Street, there's no residency here.
Yeah.
So it's just commercial, and that says something about like, well, what happens after the businesses close? It's dead. There is no community here.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's one of the things that you run into when you pivot so much towards tourists kind of industry, because the tourist industry is necessarily extractive.
Yeah.
You know, people come in from wherever, they leave their money, and they don't leave anything in the community necessarily. I mean, they're there to look at it, you know, maybe, you know, enjoy some food, contribute a little bit to the local economy, but they're not like leaving anything that is substantial that, you know, would improve the community long term.
Right.
You know, they leave their money and then they leave.
Yeah.
You know, and what's left afterwards is, well, there's the person who receives that money that clearly in a better position, and all the people that they hire, that's fine. But there's no community because the person who owns the restaurant, they live over in Carmel, and then everyone that works at the restaurant, they live over in Salinas.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or Seaside or Marina or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and so again, where is the community?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why when I found out about Foggen, like your business, I loved it because it's yeah, of course it's not in Monterey. It's you guys make it in Gonzales, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
But it's still Monterey.
Well, I mean,
Like
you know, Monterey
nobody,
County,
yeah. The community that makes up Monterey, we don't live in Monterey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I enjoy coming to Carmel, Monterey, Pebble Beach, and a lot of people do. But in reality, they live in Salinas, in Hollister, Seaside. So like there is a community there, but it feels outsiders coming in.
Yeah.
Where I'm trying to say no, we all are insiders.
Make it for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly,
it's for everybody. Like we understand. Like you guys want Canada Row for for people that comes out of town. Like we understand that, but the community, we enjoy this place too, as
Yeah.
well as more. So
And I think a lot of the concern people have as well, I mean, when it comes to booze and things like that, is it's necessarily antisocial to some extent. I mean, you go out and you drink, and that's how fights start or whatever, right? And I think that's true. But I mean, like a lighter can start a fire, or it can start a forest fire. You know what I mean? Like it depends on the use, it depends on the context, and whoever's lighting the fire, how much preparation did they do, how much safety did they set up. And I think that a lot of the issue that people have with it's just they're worried about the wrong sort of people coming in. I see that a lot as well, and I'm like, what's the wrong person? What does that mean?
yeah.
What are you worried about? Are you worried that these people are going to have this certain behavior that's going to be antisocial? Where is that coming from?
Yeah.
And also, if you think that's a realistic concern, because I mean, maybe more people are likely to fight if you give them like, 2 liters of vodka after like a rodeo or something like that. They're in a certain state, or they're in whatever. There's different contexts that will set up different sorts of energies, and if you're able to see that and prepare that, then I mean, nothing bad's going to happen. You can have a rowdy party and everyone's fine. If you set it up in a sense where that like the people coming in, you as the host, you respect them, then the people will respect you in the space.
Yeah. And also, like a lot of people don't like coming to Monterey, Carmel, Pebble Beach, because in their mind they're like they don't want me there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
No, and I mean, that's definitely, and I think if you walk into a place and that's the vibe that you get right away, I mean, just fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take your business somewhere else, because there are plenty of people that don't think like that,
But also it's a mindset like where, like of course there's, there's bad people everywhere and everything, but like some of my great moments in life has been in Pebble Beach, Carmel, and if like part of what we're doing here with my wife and everything is like, if people can see me having fun being me at Pebble Beach and Carmel Grave Studio, they're like, they're gonna be, oh, if that guy's good there, why not me? Let me go try it.
Yeah.
And same thing for you. Like if they see a product from Gonzalez in Carmel in Monterey at Wave Studios, I'm like, oh, dude, they mess around with local companies. Let's go support.
Yeah.
So that,
I mean,
that's good.
For me, I think it's just like, the local aspect of it is, I think it's good to be local. It's better to be good.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that kind of go, oh, it's local, so just support it on the face of it. And that's just kind of stupid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be good. But at the same time, it's like, if it's good and all things else are the same, I mean, why wouldn't you support the local? You know what I mean? Because it's going to be more community. It's going to keep the money here. It's going to keep, investment, development, everything. Like, it's just, I don't know. That's what I've seen elsewhere as well, is that when there's soul in something, generally speaking, it people resonate with it, and it, people are like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to support this. You know what I mean? As opposed to something that's just extractive and soulless. Like there's a lot of corporate shit out now.
Yeah.
But
especially there is a lot of people that support businesses around here, especially like outside companies. I'm not trying to put nobody on blast, but the new spot in Salinas, the chicken spot. What's the name of it? Not Dave's Hot Chicken. It's the other one. Angry Chicks.
Okay, yeah, cool, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have good food and everything, but every time you go there, like there's a line.
Yeah. That's what you want to see, though.
That's a line, right? Yeah, but that's a mindset of, like, where Monterey and Carmel, Pebble Beach need to see. Like if people feel welcome at your place, people will come.
Yeah,
definitely.
No doubt, yeah.
So the support is there. It's just people want to feel welcome.
There is definitely, like, I see this more when I go into Salinas. I mean, like, we sell all over the place. Like, we're up in Hollister, we're up in Morgan Hill, and Santa Cruz, San Jose, whatever. We sell down through South County. I mean, like, San Ardo buys our stuff. There's a liquor store in town that buys our stuff. So, we're all over the place, but for whatever reason in Salinas, when they see all of the Monterey Rye stuff, I mean, I feel like people get a little cagey about it. I mean, especially with the 17-mile gin, they're like, oh, this is Carmel shit. Don't worry. And I mean, I get that, I see that, so. I do want to mention that part of our whole thing here is, like, especially on our, like, rum here, you can see, like, we're actually really proud of the fact that we make everything in Gonzalez, and, like, all of our, like, I emphasize that wherever I can, because, I mean, fuck it, we're right in the middle of Monterey County.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's a great place to work. But, I think a lot of people see the, like, 17-mile branding of the Ocean Avenue vodka, and they think, like, oh, this is just like Carmel. This is just for Monterey, whatever. And I'm like, nah. Like, our whole thing is like, I don't think you should charge an arm and a leg for booze. I think years ago I used to work in London and I ran bar.
Okay.
And my mentor there, he used to work at all of these great places, and he collected whiskey, and his wife would occasionally crack into his collection and destroy the value. So we got to drink some of these like collection bottles that she had like broken into or whatever. And these are like $5,000, $6,000 bottles that he was collecting to sell. And I'll tell you something, it doesn't taste that much better than a $50 bottle.
I hear that. I hear that from the wine also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to price. And I mean, like people like pay money for Pappy or whatever, like $2,000 or whatever, and be like, oh, it's the best. Is it? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you know? Like there could be one that's like $60, $70. I've had Pappy. I think it's great. It's worth $175.
Okay.
That's what I would. Yeah. That's what I think it's worth.
Yeah.
Not 2,000, not 3,000, certainly not 5,000.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, and part of the reason for that is, people have a perception of value. People assume that a thing is valuable because it's cost or because it's unattainable or whatever.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it doesn't have to be about that. I believe that we can make amazing quality product and like charge a normal, like human, non-greedy price for it. Like we're operating within normal like manufacturer margins basically, so we're actually not making a ton of money when we sell this.
Okay.
So like our recommended sales price for our gin is $26.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
You can get it at like Star or Total. I mean, like our recommended sales price is $26, but like Star Market and like Total Wine, they sell it for $30 because they're like,
nah. I think we need more money.
Yeah, basically. And I mean, like, but we're still selling it at that rate. We're like, this is the price that we feel comfortable with. This is what we think is right. Our recommended sales price for the Monterey Rye is $36, and that's the most expensive one.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't think you need to, like, we're making enough money that we can cover our costs and everything and, do okay. But, and we could be charging like an arbitrary amount for our prices. I mean, like what do you charge? I mean, like, it's the manufacturing cost, and then there's our time and everything, and then there's the value of actually producing it. But then at the end of the day, I mean, how do you prescribe value to something? Yeah. I mean, that's our big issue in manufacturing. It's like, okay, well, we made this like vodka, for example, and it's like, well, how do you set a price? Vodka is the cheapest thing there is, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So this is a corn ethanol. This is kind of how Tito's used to do it back in the 90s. So what we're doing here is we're taking corn ethanol and we're just passing it through a carbon and mineral filter, and the system that we have kind of sets it up so that it circularly filters, and we can get this like extreme high like purity on our vodka. It's again, like our whole thinking here is vodka's good or it isn't.
Yeah.
So I think we land on the good side of it, and then I think our recommended sales price for this is like $16 or something like that. We're trying to compete with Tito's.
16?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, so I say this, it's like when you're cooking at home, you can put all of your love into your cooking. You can get like the pie crust just right, you can get the filling perfect. But if you need to make 10,000 pies, it's a different kitchen and a totally different kind of cooking. Tito's is making 10,000 pies and we're making one.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's super smooth.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
For what? Because usually, it burns like, oh yeah, you have to,
I think a lot of people have this idea as well that like alcohol is supposed to be like,
right.
Put hair in your chest or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. And I mean, that's just bad booze, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to like qualify it with some other shit, or it's just like, you need a chaser to get it down, it's not good, really. I mean, I'm sure you've had better tequila that you don't need a chaser with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, the whole thinking here is just, it's that filtration that gets it going. So we start with this corn ethanol, and it's really good. But by just kind of polishing it, it just gets it to where we want it to be.
It's super clean too. Like it leaves the mouth clean, like I just ate a mint, right?
Yeah. It's just you're just getting that little bit of like, there's a little bit of like a light palate, and then a little bit of vodka, and then it's gone. And that's kind of what you want. You don't want to have any taste. You want to mix it in and kind of have it disappear, right? So that's what we're hitting with this.
That's
guy.
perfect, like mouthwash.
Yeah. Well, mouthwash, I don't know about that. You get pulled over.
And if I can say something,
Yeah.
like I love you guys' bottle, especially if somebody at home has a bar, And sometimes people buy bottles just for the look of it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And this would look perfect on the bar, right? It has that clean look, but it also says, okay, it looks like a good good price bottle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think these bottles here are kind of fun. We get to pick a little bit when we were doing it, and I'm a big fan of this bottle because we actually picked it for the rum initially.
Okay.
And the thinking here is that so there's a psychological aspect, like psychological theory that says that heavy things feel like they weigh more, like they're worth more. So if you think about like a gold bar, for example, that weighs a ton, and it doesn't look like it should weigh that much.
Yeah.
So like psychologically, we all have this idea that if something weighs more, it's more valuable, as opposed to like you hold a light bottle in one hand and you hold a heavy bottle in the other hand. Your brain is just going to be like, this is the better one. And
Yeah. That's why I weigh a lot, because I'm a value a lot.
yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, there's more to love, right?
Yeah, there we go. See?
So, and so this, but the whole thinking is, you should be able to hold it like a pirate and use it like a weapon. And but yeah, so this is
drink it first before you use it.
Yeah, definitely. So this is our agricole rum, and I think like most people when they like hear about rum, they touch rum, they're like, nah, I don't drink rum. And I think most of that is the fact that everyone has this universal experience of being a teenager and breaking into their parents' liquor cabinet and just drinking way too much of something that they shouldn't be drinking.
Yeah.
Or just doing it in the wrong way, like equal parts vodka and orange juice. Yeah, that sounds about right. Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's white rum that like fucks them up, Bacardi. So this was our first thing when we actually released when we took over the business. And I mean, what do you think?
I love it. There's an explosion of flavors. I don't know. I'm not like an alcohol kind of guy, but like spices.
Yeah, there's
Like
a little bit of hit. There's a little bit of spice. Yeah,
it hits you with flavor, but also it's the same thing. It's clean.
yeah.
It's
Everything
smooth, clean, and it just a right amount of explosion of flavors.
I'll take that. Yeah, we. So the way that we came up with this was a result of 30 different experimental batches. So we went back and forth and tested all of the different things that we could put into it, and we got this special blend of blackstrap molasses and sugarcane juice. And not to go too into the weeds about it, but the more blackstrap we put into it, the more it was like. It just tasted like barbecue.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like this,
Yeah.
like kind of like nasty barbecue sauce. And that was the blackstrap. So we just kind of pulled back from that. We tried pure sugar cane, and it was great. But it was just there was too much funk. There was too much going on with it. And I think a lot of people are already like pretty iffy about rum to begin with. So it's just like if it's too funky, if it's too extreme. When I used to run my bar in London, there's a huge Afro-Caribbean population in the UK. And so all these guys came into my bar and basically bullied me into getting a good rum selection. And so when we made this, we kind of knew what notes we wanted to hit. So it's not as like heavy, kind of sharp agricole as you would get with like a real, true, genuine agricole rum. But because we're mixing in blackstrap molasses, it has all of that funk. It's closer to like Jamaican style, almost like a plantation. You get that like full funk note.
Right. Okay.
And then the palate, it almost has like a savory, smoky finish to it.
Yeah.
But like with just like sweet, and there's a whole bunch of restaurants around here that use this for like original tiki cocktails and stuff like that. But I mean, just like in a daiquiri or something like that is fucking fire. Yeah.
Like even in drinking it neat by itself, it's wow. Yeah, because usually like alcohol like this, like I'm gonna mix it with something, right?
I mean, well, my thing is, if you need to mix it with something, then is it good booze?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Smart man right here.
If it's good enough to be had on its own, then whatever you mix it in with, it's going to improve the drink. That's my thinking.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and again, we started with the vodka there. I mean, it's just to say, we're not hiding anything here.
Right.
It's got to be good on its own. That's just my baseline. You want to taste the gold rum?
Yes.
So this is aged for 2 years in 2 different kinds of barrels. Where's your rum glass there?
This one.
Yeah, all right, cool. So we just reuse that one there. So yeah, aged for 2 years in American white oak and Hungarian. Aged for 2 years in 2 different kinds of barrels. So we have a 15-gallon barrel that we got from a distillery up in Napa. So that's a Petit Syrah barrel. They age their whiskey in it, and we're the third use. And then it's a 10-gallon barrel from one of my favorite craft distilleries in New York City, Kings County Distillery. They do a bourbon and a peated bourbon, and we're the third use in those barrels. And so what you're getting is a kind of you're getting a lot of like nice smoky finish. There's a lot of like whiskey finish to it, but there's a little bit of like the wine hint, the Petit Syrah. So you're getting a little bit of plum, you're getting a little bit of vanilla, and then like a really strong whiskey finish.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but it reminds me of like a good tequila.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, like the thing about good tequila is that it usually has a little bit of that like funk to it. It's usually pot stilled, and that's how we make our stuff as well. I mean, there's a lot of parallels between like rum production and tequila production. It's just what you're fermenting.
Right.
But like once you actually have the agave and you're actually fermenting it properly, then I mean it's the same as making rum essentially.
Yeah, that's delicious. I like. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So the thing here is this is actually a really super limited release. So when we put this down 2 years ago, we thought we would be doing a lot better financially than we were. And so like putting down product is like essentially burying money in the ground.
Yeah.
We can pull it out later on, but like when we put it down, we could have sold it and made the money right then and there. And we weren't able to really set up a system where we had this kind of aging constantly. So this is a really super limited release. We've got 6 barrels total.
Okay.
We've cracked 2 of them, and we're about to run out and crack into the second set. But we cracked the first 2 at 2 years, and then we're going to crack through the next set. And when we run through that, we'll crack through the next set after that. And it'll just get darker and more delicious.
And how much would that cost?
So our recommended sales price for this is $36.
Oh man, that's a super deal right there.
Telling you. So I mean, again, like I just don't think booze has to be like super duper expensive. Like we're not selling like the cheapest stuff out there, but like it's good quality product shouldn't be like out of reach of like normal people.
Right.
I think.
And you guys don't get scared of people like seeing the price. Oh, $30. In this age, it must be it must be not good.
People are always just going to out of hand think it's bad no matter
Right,
what. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't really think about that. Yeah,
That's
because
delicious.
I mean, like, because when you think about it, I mean, like, there's just so much bad booze out there that you just assume, like, it's more likely to be bad than not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not really too worried about it. One thing that does frustrate me a little bit is when I walk into a place and like that bartender just like assumes everything about me right away. I run into a lot of people, a lot of bartenders in different spaces around here who I think should know better, but are just bullshitting about like their quality or their expertise or whatever. I run into this quite a lot where I'll talk to like a bartender or bar manager or something like that who insists that, like a bar needs Tito's or a bar needs Modelo or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, why? Like, why do you think that? Oh, well, it's the most popular drink out there, or, it's what the people want. And I'm like, McDonald's makes the most hamburgers. They don't make the best hamburgers.
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people, to point, I think a lot of people see my price point relative to the other major brands, and they're like, yeah,
Right.
garbage,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but actually try it. And then I think a lot of people are like inherently, they don't like they think they know everything, and they don't want to have their opinion changed. And so I run into that quite a lot. Where people are like objectively like mean to me in their like assessment of the product or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well.
Because honestly, I thought you were gonna say $60.
No.
Right. Because that's a good rum. That's some good rum.
I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I think we should probably be able to charge more for it, but again, the issue is like, who would pay for it?
Right. Yeah.
Who would pay $60 for it? I mean, it's probably worth that much, but I would have to go out and convince you that it's worth that much. And if you haven't tasted it, and again, like we could charge $60, but at the price that we're selling at wholesale, we're making our money fine.
That's
it's
good.
okay.
Yeah.
We could be making more money for sure, but I don't think I have the ability to convince somebody to buy it for that amount either, because there's just so much competition out on the market. And I mean, I think a lot of people don't really think about like, why does a venue buy alcohol? I mean, for what purpose? It's either like, Mitt, for example, he'll buy 3 or 4 products that he'll never open so that he can have it on the shelf, and he knows why it's there and he can whip it out and he knows everything about it. but it's a prestige bottle. It's there to be seen as much as anything else. Like the volume stuff is like what's in the rail.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that he's buying constantly. But and so what's the purpose? Why do you have this in there? I think a lot of people, really bars and restaurants, they're looking for a product that is good quality tasting and has the right price point. That's really what they're looking for, and most consumers, they don't really know what they want. They just want good product.
Yeah.
They don't really care what the label is. They just want it to be good.
Yeah.
So it kind of ends up being the bar, bartenders, the bar managers. They're like the gatekeepers. They're the people who say, look, this is what you should have. This is the cocktail menu that I put together. And anyone that walks into a restaurant just assumes that they know what they're doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the kind of challenge we run into a little bit, is this kind of idea that a lot of bartenders wanting to make McDonald's hamburgers, thinking that's the best thing out there.
Yeah.
And then me being like with dealing with like people at Pebble Beach, for example, or like big corporate clients, it's like I feel like they're in their big ivory tower, and I'm down slamming at the wall. I have broken my way through that wall a couple of times by just slamming my head hard enough.
It's that Viking blood.
It's the fear of being homeless. Yeah. No, but I don't know. It's just if you make something good and you work your ass off,
Yeah.
I think if the quality is good and you're consistent about it, then people will eventually be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing as well is like we never really did much advertising. Like we do a little bit of stuff. We have a social media. You've seen it.
Yeah.
And we do all of that ourselves. But like I've never seen an ad that like really gets me to do something. You know what I mean? I think that said, if I trust somebody and they're like, oh man, you got to try this. This is really good. I'll try it every time. You know what I mean? And then I'll decide if I like it or not. But I will try it if somebody says you should try it.
Right. Yeah.
But if I see an ad for something, I'll be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? And so just kind of, again, this draws back to the community thing as well. I don't think you can just exist as a company in a kind of corporate, like space state. You need to be connected to the community. You need to be connected with people who understand what it is that you're doing and want to support you. Because you could always buy a McDonald's hamburger. You got to convince them to be like, actually.
Yeah.
So, apropos, let's go over to the gym. This is our gourmet hamburger right here. So the big issue with well, I'll swap that one up there. Whoop. There's I don't know what that was, but there's a little bit less in there. But so my whole issue with gin in general is that like whenever you have gin, it's always super dry. You know what I mean? Like it's always like punch you in the face, juniper, Christmas tree kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so like on the face of it, when we made our gin, we were like, that's not what we're gonna do. But I lived in London during the whole rose gin craze thing, and I had some pretty opinionated people tell me why rose gin wasn't real gin. So when we made this, I was very specific about not wanting to piss those people off wherever they are.
Right.
And so, it's 50% juniper by weight in the mash bill. We're using a blend of fresh and dry ingredients. Basically we just did the legwork to get out there and like get our ingredients. So we're using fresh ginger, orange peel, and Buddha's hand lemon that we get from growers near Modesto. We worked with the Monterey Bay Herb Company to get all of our dry ingredients. And then we work with California wineries to get our brandy source.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's all California source grown and produced. We don't actually make the base of this from scratch, but we're right next to the Santa Lucia Highlands, and every year there's a certain amount of wine that goes bad in the California wine industry. They redistill it to turn into brandy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and so by going out and just getting a good source, we were able to find a quality product that we were happy with, and we're able to build our gin off of that.
Okay, let me go back. So bad wine, you can turn it into brandy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you distill wine, it turns into hard alcohol. That hard alcohol would be defined as brandy spirit. Or,
wow.
Yeah, neutral grape spirit or brandy.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so
cool.
I mean, obviously, like real French brandy, for example, is its own, like cognac, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
But like cognac is brandy, and then brandy is any sort of distilled, like fruit spirit, basically. So you can distill grapes, you can distill pears, you can distill apples, and it'll produce different things. So if you make a brandy from apples, for example, in France, in northern France, you can make something called Calvados.
Okay.
Which is kind of similar to Applejack, for example. It's like an apple liqueur. It's really good. But yeah, so there's a whole like spectrum of different products that you can make. But if it's from grape or any sort of fruit, and you distill that into a spirit, it becomes brandy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So,
good.
and what's nice about the brandy that we're using is it's kind of sweet to begin with. It's not like terribly sweet, but it has like a really, really great flavor on its own.
Yeah.
And then because we're using Budasan lemon, which is like more sweet than it is actually like bitter. Most people think of lemons as being like sour flavor, but the rind is actually just bitter.
Right.
And that's the part that we're using. But for the Budasan lemon, the whole thing is actually sweet. You can eat the pith, and so it gives this really nice, lovely flavor.
Awesome. That's delicious too. The aroma is divine.
What do you think? What do you think?
The aroma is like it runs like a lemon, lime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then also there's some alcohol out there like you taste you smell like perfume, but also tastes like perfume. It's like
yeah.
But this one it has that aroma of like perfume, but
We're using so that's the thing. So we're using like fresh ingredients, and that's where we're getting our essential oil from. So like a lot of, and I mean like people reach out to us with this all the time, but like you can buy essential oil that you just drop in. Like you can buy like vanilla extract or like whatever, and just drop it in there. And I mean people do that with a lot of like vodka and stuff like that. So when they say there's no additives, that's what they're talking about. Yeah.
No.
I mean it goes without saying. I mean like we're not using any artificial additives. It's just fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
Fresh and dry ingredients.
Yeah. And it's also like all of them, they're balanced, they're light, but super flavorful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think one of the issues that a lot of people would like when they're drinking this as well, and they're like, okay, well, this is really powerful right now, but like to your point earlier, like if I layer this out, if I put tonic or water or whatever in this, all of this flavor is just going to disappear, right? But because we're using this fresh ingredient, because there's so much essential oil in it, it doesn't do that. It continues to like power through, and in fact, the flavor like develops and changes as you layer it out. So it's like you're like stretching the lemon flavor out almost, and and causing it to develop. And so one of my like favorite cocktails that I recommend with this is legitimately just a gimlet. It's 2 ounces of this gin, an ounce of lime juice, an ounce of a simple syrup. You just shake that together. It's dangerous.
That's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So far, like each bottle, I'm like, okay, this is my favorite. But I really love this one.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super good. I'm gonna go for the last drop.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's this got a gold medal from the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, and the Bartender Spirits Awards gave it a 92, like a gold medal. And I mean, like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, these industry things are like they're bullshit or whatever. But like, I mean, the thing is, you don't like, there are bullshit ones that you can participate in, but like the San Francisco World Spirits Competition is one that we participated in. Was like they basically don't give you a medal. Like you can participate and they won't give you a medal. If it really sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was the kind of thing that we went out to do. And I mean, like the people that vetted us, we know that they're legit. But I think I've run into this a couple of times where people are like, oh yeah, but anyone can get a medal. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So the medals mean less, but I think your opinion and anyone tasting it is the most important opinion at the end of the day. And I mean, it's like, does it taste good on its own?
Yeah.
Can you use it in cocktails? Probably.
Yeah. I won't because it tastes that good. Like I'll be scared to mix it up with something else.
Well, you had the cocktail at the whiskey club,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. That was delicious.
You had the Metropolitan. That's what it was. Yeah. And I mean, like that.
It was with this gin too, but so I thought it was like the other ingredients, right? They're all this is why it's so good.
Yeah.
By having it its own, it's a game changer. That like wow, I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, and again, this is the culmination of our like it's just got to be good. Good ingredients make a better quality product. And I mean, again, our recommended sales price for this is $26 a bottle.
Yeah, so doable.
So, and then this is our kind of like. So this is our winter expression. We're probably going to change the name at some point, but the thinking was that we wanted to do like of all these seasons. I have another idea for like a proper dry gin. But okay, so here's the issue with gin in general.
Okay.
Right? It's too dry, it's too juniper-y, you don't like it. But really, like dry palate doesn't have to mean juniper, it just means like bitter. So like bay leaves can give you that same sort of palate, right? And so my thinking was, what if we just use baking ingredients? So this is more of a dry kind of style,
Okay.
loosely based off of my aunt's Christmas cookie recipe. So my cousin, he does all of the distilling, and this is kind of his mom's inspiration to begin with. But we have fresh ginger, fresh orange peel, and then it's cinnamon, clove, and allspice, and 50% juniper by weight in the mash bill. So it's dry, but it's a different kind of dry. And I'm going to give you this glass right here.
Oh, wow.
So take a little sip of that. So different palate.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, what do you think? I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Christmas.
All right, hell yeah.
Christmas flavors,
Yeah. So the cinnamon, the clove, and the allspice, that's what we're putting in there, yeah. And it's dry. It is like a dry gin when you think about it, but the brandy is giving a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah.
And then
Sweetness.
And then these, like the baking spices, which is kind of unusual for gins. You get a lot of orange peel, you get a lot of clove, and on its own, it does taste, very Christmassy. But as you layer it out, I mean, it's the same situation. This is really good in a gin and tonic. It makes for an amazing Negroni. So yeah, we've had a lot of fun success with this, although we don't sell quite as much of this as we do of the other one. I think you can tell.
Yeah. Describe dry. Like,
so bitter ingredients, generally speaking. So like juniper, but like bay leaves. You can go for that sort of stuff, basically. Yeah.
'cause-
A coriander kind of has a bitter flavor profile to it as well. Yeah.
Okay, for me, like right now, it's my mouth is dry, but as you experience it, let's say when I'm tasting everything, it's moist.
Yeah. Well, dry is in the sense of like not sweet.
Oh, okay then. So I was thinking about leave your mouth dry.
Oh yeah, no.
That's
no,
how
no.
I use
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, okay, see, I was doing it wrong the whole time.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, so it's like sweet vermouth and dry vermouth. It's like it's not like an empty bottle dry vermouth, but it's the idea. Yeah, if it has less sweetness and more kind of a bitter, acidic flavor, then it's dry. But yeah, and then so
That's good. And everything like leaves the mouth clean, like refresh.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
I mean, this is what and this goes back to what I'm saying. Everything we make has to be good enough to be had on its own. I mean, it just has to be.
And is that due because it's everything's balanced, or it's because other people use different oils or?
Well, why does our product taste good where other people's are kind of inconsistent? Is that the question? Or
Why is the end product it leaves your mouth so clean? Like it doesn't feel. It's not heavy. It's like it doesn't burn. It's like a nice, clean finish.
So to answer that question, I think one, I'm really particular. I think we're having this conversation right now, but then we leave and the bottle still sits there, and it's got to sell itself. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So why is it like that? Because I'm really fastidious and I want to make sure that it's as good as it can possibly be. It's my reputation, you know what I mean? And if it's garbage, then I'm garbage, you know what I mean? Kind of a thing. So I can get it right. I can get it right once, and I can fuck up once, but I can get it right 100 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's amazing like how all the different bottles it holds its own weight. Usually in companies you see like they have a signature bottle and the other ones are okay, passable or whatever, but they have that one that's like you have to try that one. But honestly, you have to try all of them. Everyone holds their own weight and super clean, drinkable, and each of them is like an experience. You taste something different. It's something unique.
Yeah, it's not like repetitious. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this goes back to this thing though. I think if anyone could make it at this quality, I think they probably would. I think the issue is in the scale. You know what I mean? I think this goes back. It's harder to make 10,000 homemade pies than it is to make one.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll run into that issue ourselves someday when we grow to the point where we're kind of like figuring out how to scale. But I mean, for me, that's always going to be a number one thing. Is like it's got to be good before anything else. So, I think the nice thing about running my own business is I get to make a decision as to what sort of quality I want to put into it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just like, we can't compete on quantity, so we can only compete on quality.
And you guys are hitting out the park with that. That's delicious. Yeah.
And then this here, I'll give you a little sample of this here. This is the rye, where I want to say that we're not making any more of this.
Oh, okay.
And most of that has to do with how we've been transitioning. So we bought this business in 2021. We took it over from a retired sheriff's deputy of Monterey County for over 20 years. He started the business in 2008. It was actually one of the first craft distilleries in California. And so he made this kind of series of moonshine products. He was the moonshining sheriff, which was pretty good for a while. Yeah. And so he made all of these products, but I think the problem with moonshine is that it like he rode the moonshiners craze a couple of years ago, and he made a really good quality product. But I think the issue is public perception counts for so much, and I think anyone can make moonshine. You know, I when I was a teenager, I had friends who made moonshine, and bought it, and it's usually bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's usually white lightning. It's usually awful, and I think people know that. And I think the perception of moonshine is that it's usually like, oof, cover your nose, kind of a thing. And so it's difficult to get past that perception because I mean, people are like, I'm selling moonshine, and people are like,
I pass. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so tough to say then that Craig was actually making this product that is much older than moonshine. I think people have an issue with moonshine because of prohibition. Because if you take something and you turn it into a black market, then it's not about quality, it's about quantity.
Yeah.
Right? And so these distillers are up in the hills, they're trying to pump it out as fast as possible. And the quality of product goes down. Obviously, teetotalism really fucks up, all sorts of different, like what it is to drink. And, like it's not about quality, it's just about getting it down as fast as possible. And so posheen, Irish posheen, which is what these moonshiners were actually making, is the term. It's not moonshine, it's posheen.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like where the word potshine comes from as well in English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then you get moonshine as well, but posheen. And it's also where the root word potion comes from. Fun fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And basically what it is, instead of like cooking down grain to make whiskey, what you're doing is you're taking porridge essentially and fermenting that. And so you don't get a full grain flavor, you get something that's a little bit softer, and you get a little bit of flavor from the sugar as well. It's like whiskey adjacent. And these Appalachian, or these Irish whiskey makers, they brought this tradition to Appalachia, where eventually it becomes American moonshine, and bourbon is developed out of that as well. So this whole time Craig is making moonshine. He's actually making posheen, and he's making this really high quality product, but batch to batch he was inconsistent about it. Okay. And so when we took over, we started releasing our products. We just slowed down on sales in the Monterey Rye. We just let it sit and we let it rest. And so this is now, he was selling it at just under 2 years, but this is 3 years aged now.
Oh wow, okay.
So aged for an American white oak and Hungarian oak. I'll give you a little fresh one here. That one's the freshest. But yeah, this is a limited quantity item. We won't be making it more.
Okay.
After a while, so there's probably about 150, 200 bottles of this left with our distributor, not including stuff out on the market. So this is going to be rarer and rarer. If you find a bottle, grab it. But yeah, what do you think?
Smooth.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how rye is supposed to taste, I think, but I do like it. It's nice and smooth. Mm-hmm. I feel like a gentleman.
Yeah.
Like one of those, like, so one of my favorite movies is Stupid Crazy Love, right? That's the name of the movie?
Sure,
with Ryan Seacrest, not Seacrest. What's his name?
Gosling?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of, drinking like a gentleman, no straw. So that's always been in my mind. And
drinking out of a shot glass with the straw is kind of tough, though, I gotta say.
That's true, yeah.
Like, what's he drinking? Shit. I want that.
But drink something neat.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need no ice. You don't need added stuff to it. And this is delicious.
Appreciate it.
And once again, super clean. With your mouth gets coated and it lingers. Mm-hmm. It's a good linger because you're like, okay, I remember that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that. I mean, no, again, it's just like, everything we make has to be good enough to be had on its own.
Yeah.
So years ago, when I used to run my bar, we had this guy come in one time. He repped for a major brand. And he was trying to sell us on this rum that it looked great, packaging-wise, smelled great, color of the product was fantastic as well, and it tasted awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, he was like, oh, yeah, but it's really good in this cocktail. And, and I swear to God, man spent 6 minutes making this cocktail. And I'm like, oh, so
That's too much. Yeah.
yeah, no, for real. So yeah, and at the end of it, I mean, it was a fine cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. And we're like, bro, sorry, man, we're not buying this. Like,
Yeah.
The use case for this, like, super specific flavored. Like, I think one of the issues with, like, I mean, just to kind of say, like, flavored vodka, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue with it is that it always, like, you're pigeonholing yourself. Like, you can only use it with this. When people buy, like, fucking Crown peach flavor or apple flavor or whatever, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you making Crown taste like apple? Because now you can only combine things that would go well with apple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can't use Crown in any other way than something that benefits apple or peach or whatever. You know what I mean? I think anytime you add a flavor to something, you're like just pigeonholing yourself. But if you have like a neutral spirit to begin with, that is pretty good. That's like a blank sheet of paper. You know what I mean? And then you can just draw whatever you want on that.
Yeah.
Make it any way you want.
That's cool. If you're new to hard alcohol, like this is a perfect introduction to it, because other alcohol, like, it burns, like, oh, like you don't want to make that face when you're in public.
Yeah, yeah,
like
for real,
take it like a man, right?
Yeah, it'd be tough. Yeah,
It'd be tough. But this is a great way to get into hard liquors.
I mean,
if you're not alcoholic,
Well, no, but I mean, like, I think, but you're touching on something there as well, which I think is interesting. It's like, the be a man thing and tough it up and deal with bad booze. And I mean, you had that with whiskey, and then everyone was like, oh shit, whiskey doesn't have to be awful.
Right.
And then they changed it up.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it's the same thing with like good tequila though. There is good tequila and there's bad tequila. And the vast majority of people will just down the bad tequila because that's what's there.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But when you get the good stuff,
It's delicious.
you're not retching. Yeah, exactly. You're keeping it together. And I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people have just been exposed to the idea that alcohol is always bad. And then the other thing is it's a moral vice as well. So I mean, like, societally, if people drink less, then it's even better. So there's an incentive to maintain this idea that all alcohol is bad anyway. It benefits the major corporations because they can just keep churning out those McDonald's hamburgers.
Right.
And it keeps the populace kind of uninformed as well, blindly consuming whatever shit the corporate body pumps out, because it's all bad anyway, so I'm just not going to take a chance.
Yeah.
You see what I'm, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not to say that there isn't bad product out there. I mean, I run into this a lot with like independent brands in general. It's usually they're a cash grab. And so I think that's the thing, is that people aren't stupid. And I think they're just retreating to the stuff that they know, that they feel safe with. I mean, you're not going out and buying a ton of money. You're not an alcoholic, like you say. So it's like you only have so much money to spend on alcohol.
Right.
You want to make your purchase count. And
Yeah.
Why fucking waste money on something that may or may not be good when you could just buy Tito's and it's Tito's? I mean, it's crap, but it's crap,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and it's so yeah. I think I think people aren't stupid. I think people are like know quality when they see it. I think it's just that I think a lot of people have been conditioned
Right.
to be a certain kind of consumer.
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Just like not take a chance ever.
Yeah.
But like if people can get over the idea that like all whiskey is supposed to be like your grandfather's whiskey, I think people can get over the idea that like spirits have to taste awful all the time.
Yeah.
That's
delicious. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So
Big fan.
and then well hopefully we get some other stuff coming out. I want to be experimental with it since we're small. I have an idea for like a better dry gin, for example. And I mean, people always talk to us like, "Oh, are you guys going to do tequila and agave spirit and stuff like that?" And I'm like, I'm kind of iffy about that personally, because again, the best tequila comes out of Mexico. Agave spirit is a little bit weird to me. But then again, with the tariffs coming up, I don't know. Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because the price on tequila is about to jump like crazy. So my question is, are they going to be like, okay, well, agave spirit isn't that bad after all, as a result of that price change? It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Will it be durable?
I mean, people have been growing agave in California for the last like 20 years. So
Oh,
it's
yeah?
like,
Oh, I
yeah, there's
didn't
like mature agave coming up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there's a perception of it, like obviously like tequila is from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is this agave spirit shit, essentially?
Right.
You know, it's not always super good. I think the market's perception of it is that it's like, I mean, just anytime I bring it up, most people are like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That says everything.
Mm-hmm. But if you can tie it in with the history of Monterey County with tequila, like it works. Especially if you put the same passion into tequila, into all this, like you guys will hit it out of the park. For sure.
No doubt. But I mean, I think one of the issues that we run into as well is that, you know, you two white dudes making it, me and my cousin. So I mean, I think that's the other thing we have to be aware of as well.
That's why you have this guy as your
Well, no, I mean, it's just like, you know, you need to be aware. You need to be consciously aware of the history that surrounds the products, because otherwise, you know, you need to know what happened before to make a good informed decision as to what comes next.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But honestly, like Monterey County, like the Mexican culture is so rich here, and where if you can tie that in with your tequila, like it could work if you do it right. If you do it right, it could work.
It could work, and I think the other thing for me though is like, you know, I think if I don't have my integrity, what do I have? And I think, you know, we've talked to some people. I would say I don't know enough about that space to really make a great decision, but if we were able to work with somebody who has a more informed, more trustworthy, more kind of like holistic understanding of the space, then I think we would be in a better position to work with them if we found like somebody in Salinas who has a good connection in Mexico, for example.
Crystal, tequila people.
Yeah.
We can make that connection.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, like, as long as it's being done for the right reasons, as long as it's like not scummy, or, you know, and the quality of the product is good, then I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Because honestly, I think California and Texas, if they do something with tequila, if they just hone the connection and connected with the culture of Mexico, it could work, because it was part of Mexico. So there's a deep culture connection there.
Definitely.
If I said that right, I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean,
but
there's a cultural connection. I think the issue is of like the modern politics of like what's going on. I think, you know, American colonialism and kind of like all of that issue as well. I mean, it like, you know, I think the thing about like spirits in general, I mean, like these are categories of product with like deep history.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, for example, like we make this agricole rum. This agricole rum exists off the back of the sugar trade, which is built off the back of the slave trade.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this has a direct connection to the history of slavery. It exists as a category of product because of the slave trade. And so knowing the history of your product allows you to make really informed decisions and makes a better quality product. And I think I would be open to making a tequila if I knew that we were doing everything right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Sal, thank you so much. Yeah.
It's been awesome. It was a pleasure. It was an honor.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to buy some more.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, you can get it anywhere where you feel comfortable asking for a recommendation. We're in Salinas, Gonzales, we're in Hollister, Santa Cruz. We're in like San Jose up in Total Wine and stuff like that as well. So, and then like basically at the moment you can get our stuff as far north as San Jose and as far south as like LA and like San Diego through Total Wine. Yeah,
cool.
So that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you, Sal.
See ya.